of operations of all sports stadia in Kenya and provide details of the budgetary allocations and utilization for their development from the year 2020-2021 financial year to date, as well as timeline for their completion. But B says, what specific funds have been allocated and disbursed towards the refurbishment and maintenance of existing sports stadia to ensure they meet international standards in light of Kenyans' bid to co-host the African Cup of Nations AFCON tournament in 2027? And could the Cabinet Secretary outline measures put in place to ensure long-term sustainability and proper management of these facilities? But C of the question says, could the Cabinet Secretary state the scope and cost associated with consultancy services for stadia development, including their design, feasibility study, and project management, and also provide information on whether these services have been subjected to competitive procurement processes? And finally, the distinguished senator would like to know what measures has the ministry put in place to encourage public participation, private partnership, PPPs, in development of this stadia to reduce the financial burden on government, particularly in preparation for hosting the AFCON. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. First of all, thank you, Speaker, for according me this opportunity to appear before this august House. It's always my pleasure to come back here, and it's my first time, I think, to come in my current portfolio. And so, very excited to be here with you. And I'd like to respond to the questions as follows. Mr. Speaker, question number 125, A, which is, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the respective state of operation of all the sports stadia in Kenya? I'd like to respond as follows, Mr. Speaker. The Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports develops, maintains and manages stadia through a state agency known as Sports Kenya. Currently, there are 2 stadia that are gazetted under the management of Sports Kenya. That is Nyayo National Stadium and Moi International Stadium, Kasarani. Whereas the other stadia are under respective counties and are managed by the respective county governments, with some receiving the support of the national government. Currently, there is no clear framework of intergovernmental relations in regard to development, management, and management of sports facilities in the country. The Ministry, through Sports Kenya, has developed a master plan categorizing sports infrastructure in line with international standards in the following manner. International stadia are in Category A of FIFA and CAF, Category 4 actually, which is over 30,000 seater. Category number 2 is the National Stadia, which is Category 3A of the CAF. Mr. Speaker, is 15,000 to 30,000 seater. And then regional, or what we now call county stadia, will be Category 3B, which is between 10,000 and 15,000 seater. And then there's community grounds, which is basically between 5,000 to 10,000 seater, and community ground A and community grounds B, which is Category 1, which is less than 5,000. To standardize the development of sports stadia, the ministry sought the services of Kenya School of Technical and Vocational Training to develop the standard prototypes for various categories of stadia as indicated above. The prototypes were recently submitted to the ministry, and going forward, we now can plan the development of facilities with estimated cost, hence avoid wastage and create standardized facilities. Considering that the ministry receives 0 allocation from the Exchequer for the development of sports facilities in the ministry facilities, the ministry sought and received approval from the National Treasury to securitize the Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund to raise enough resources to complete stalled projects and develop others, especially in preparation for the African Cup Championship of 2025, CHAN 25, and AFCON 2027. Although Sports Kenya is mandated by law to develop, manage, and enforce standards and regulations for sports facilities, there are no currently there are no approved regulations. To bridge this gap, the ministry is in the process of developing standards and regulations for all the stadia development and management in the country. The ministry will soon be tabling to both houses the sports stadia regulations and standards for consideration and approval. To address the legislative and policy gaps in the sports sector, the ministry has gazetted a task force to review sports policy and law to align it with the 2010 Constitution, respecting the two levels of government and incorporating emerging issues, including inclusivity in sports and sports science and technology. Nyayo National Stadium and Moi International Studies Center Kasarani are currently undergoing refurbishment in preparation for the CHAN 25 and AFCON 2027. Mr. Speaker, it should be noted by this House that the Ministry does not receive budgetary allocation from the National Treasury. The resources, because there was a question about specific budget allocation. Mr. Speaker, the resources are sourced from the Sports, Arts, and Social Development Fund, with an exception of very minimal support that we have received through the budget of 20 million shillings that has gone towards construction of Malinya community grounds in Ikolomani, Kakamega County. The status of the resources allocated from the fund for the development of sports facilities across the country during this period under consideration is as follows. And I have provided a table of the resources to the Speaker. As I said, Malinya Community Grounds has consumed 20,000 shillings, 20 million shillings, sorry, and the work was done. That was allocated through, that's the only money allocated through the budget for development of our facilities in the period under consideration. Wote Makueni Stadium, Mr. Speaker, you can see there was a allocation in the same period of 185,439,722, already paid 72 million shillings, and there's a difference of 113 million that is pending. In this particular project of Wote, the project is has experienced certain challenges. The original site was changed, occasioning delays in the commencement of works. The new site provided by the county government had topographical, geological challenges, necessitating variation of works to stabilize the ground, and the ministry is rationalizing the scope in line with the prototypes of TVET as indicated above in order to complete the projects. And as I said, Mr. Speaker, when it came to office, there was very varying costs of different stadia across the country. And so the two things that very key that we have done in the last 3 months, Mr. Speaker, is the first one is to make sure that we standardize the types of the stadium. And as I have indicated, 30,000 and above, 15 and above, 10,000 and above, and then 5,000 and above, and from 0 to 1,000, 5,000. Number two was to do what we did with TVETs. The same way the TVET, School of TVET developed a prototype for technical and vocational institutions, we asked them to develop a prototype of these stadiums, Mr. Speaker, to avoid extremely varying cost of similar facilities across the country. Now we can develop these facilities with clarity, knowing the estimated cost of the standard of the stadium that we get. And that way, we're able then to save resources in the country. Ruringu Stadium in Nyeri, Mr. Speaker, has been pending for so many years, and so far 203 million shillings were supposed to be expended. 180 is already paid, and about 23 million shillings, 500,344 is due. And then on Kipchoge Keino Stadium, phase 1 and 2, about 444,000 million shillings have been used, 869, 550, and that's the contract sum. It was 544 million, and paid with 338 million. There's a pending bill of 206 million shillings. Mr. Speaker, yes. On the other hand, Marsabit County, also there was a contract of 240 million, and 229 million was spent. Sorry, before I go to Marsabit, I need to indicate that for the Kipchoge Stadium, the contract has been terminated to pave way for upgrading to CAF standards for hosting the AFCON 2027. And Mr. Speaker, The site has been handed over to Ministry of Defense, who are the contracting authority and project managers for all the AFCON projects. Final accounts are being prepared and negotiations are not going to reduce claims and interest before then the new contractor can proceed through MOD, Ministry of Defense. On Marsabit Stadium, Mr. Speaker, I needed to indicate that, again, 240 million was contract sum, 229 has been paid, about 10 million is remaining. The Sports Kenya scope was completed on 30th May 2022, save for the pitch, which is to be varied from natural grass to synthetic turf because of the challenges of water in that region. Construction of VIP pavilion by the county government stalled with glaring structural integrity shortfalls, and materials and testing department under the Ministry of Roads has given the remedial actions. The county has requested the national government to assist in completing the works, and the request is under consideration. Kirubia Stadium in Tharaka Nithi, Mr. Speaker, 114 million has been spent. The contract sum, 73 million has been paid, 41 is pending, and the project is practically complete. However, there is a problem with the grass that was planted by the contractor and needs to be replaced. The contractor is currently replanting the grass and sorting the snags before then releasing the stadium to the county government. Bugungu Stadium, Mr. Speaker, in Kakamega County, as the contract sum of the works for the Ministry of Sports and the national government